iHeart, get ready. Fantasy football is here. Welcome to the Scout Fantasy Show. ScoutFantasy.com is home to the Fantasy Football World Championships and the best players in the world. Real money winners giving their secrets to help you win. Now exclusively on iHeart. This is the Scout Fantasy Show with your host, the one, the only, Dr. Roto.
It's Dr. Roto. Get out the insurance cards. Get out the copay. The office is open, my friends. So I want to give you some scheduling and figure out how the rest of this week is going to look. I'm going to do a podcast today, and I'm going to do a podcast tomorrow. But there will not be podcasts Thursday and Friday. So today I'm going to do my waiver wire analysis, and then tomorrow I'm going to preview the games. Okay? And then we'll be back with the podcast next week. But you can still check for articles on ScoutFantasy.com. I will be doing an article on Friday for DFS. And there still will be an article on Wednesday, hopefully going up either Wednesday or Thursday, talking about the games as well. So if you don't get the preview here on the podcast, you will see it online at ScoutFantasy.com. Okay, so let's talk about the waiver wire. Let's talk about certain players out there. And let's get right to it. At quarterback, Colin Kaepernick is still available in some leagues. And I think the debate at this point is he a number one quarterback in fantasy? I think the answer is yes, I think he is. And I think you have to look at it this way. It's the rushing yards that make the difference. So years ago, I was playing in a league with my friend, and we had Mark Brunell. And this guy's like, I don't think Mark Brunell's a great quarterback. And I'm like, maybe he's not, but he runs. And a running quarterback gets points. And Colin Kaepernick, last week was a very low week for him rushing. He only had 32 yards. But I think that was because of the Patriots and not because of Kaepernick. The Patriots know how to play defense. They know how to watch film unlike any other team in the NFL. They were prepared for Kaepernick. Miami won't be. Miami will not be prepared for him. He will run amok. So I think you're looking at a guy who for most weeks is going to get 50 to 60 yards rushing and maybe a touchdown. If he gets you 180 to 250 yards passing and a touchdown, that's great. And if he gets you more than 250, oh my God, you may have one of the best players in the league. That's why Colin Kaepernick is a good play. Is he a great play? No. Is he a good play? Yes. Alex Smith. Alex Smith is probably out there in your league, and in some ways he's detestable. Really is. He just doesn't throw the ball enough. But the team is good. I don't like that they play Denver twice over the next few weeks, but outside of that, he has good matchups. He's someone to look at. I think the guy who's interesting is Josh McCown. Josh McCown has weapons, and I think this is the worst thing that happened to the Giants. Because I think if the Cleveland Browns are going to win a game, it's going to be this week against the Giants with Josh McCown. Josh McCown is not playing very well, but I think that this is a guy who now knows he's starting, and he's going to have an opportunity to prepare for this game and give the Browns the best chance of winning. I believe that. They have Barnidge, Pryor, Coleman, Duke Johnson, Crowell. There's weapons here, guys. There's weapons here. They just need a quarterback. Now, I'm sure the quarterback will probably be Deshaun Watson next year, but right now the quarterback is Josh McCown until they see RG3 in a couple of weeks. But right now, this is McCown's team at least for the next week or two. So if you need to win desperately, look there. Ryan Tannehill. This is all about his offensive line. This is all about his offensive line. When the offensive line is playing well, then Tannehill's playing well. And the running game. Ajayi's playing very well at this point. Really one of the top running backs. If we had to draft over again, is he arguably a first-round pick? I think so. Arguably. But how about Devontae Parker stepping up? So this is a guy we've been waiting for, a year and a half at this point. So I think we're going to see Devontae Parker have a good rest of the season. So Tannehill is interesting. All right, a guy, maybe Andrew Luck looks like he's not going to play. Scott Tolzien, I guess if you're desperate, but, oh man, I don't know. I just don't think he's very good. But what can I tell you? If you're desperate, and I'm saying desperate, you can look there. All right, at running back, I guess I'm all in on Wendell Smallwood. So the question is, I don't believe that Ryan Matthews will be back for the next couple of weeks. I think he's done. And we know he's not a great healer. So the question is about Darren Sproles. How much Sproles will there be? I think there'll be a limited amount of Sproles. I think we'll see 50% of Sproles, which means we should be able to see 10 carries and 3 catches from Smallwood. It's enough of a sample that I can start him. It's enough that I can start him, and I will be starting him. I will be. I really need him. I was counting on him in my main event leagues, and I've been stashing this guy for weeks for this very moment. So this is his week. Make it happen for Dr. Roto, Wendell. Maybe I'll have to write a prescription note for him. Chris Ivory. Now, TJ Yeldon dealing with an ankle injury. I believe that we'll see a lot of Ivory this week. I don't love Ivory, but I do think that Ivory will have a chance to get carries this week and catches. Carries and catches. So if he's out there by any chance, I dropped him in a league. It's one of my biggest regrets. I really have to think about this. I want to go back and figure out who I dropped and when and how bad a life decision that was. I think dropping Ivory was a terrible life decision, and I regret it every minute. I do. All right, Mark Ingram. We know that Mark Ingram has been injured. He had a very, I think he's going to play, but Tim Hightower looks like real deal. I can't believe he's available in your league, but if he is, go get him. Let's see, Jerick McKinnon. He might have been dropped in your league if he was. He looks like he's the guy. Ronnie Hillman was cut. So I just am telling you that, Adrian Peterson may come back. And by the way, that's a name that we should be talking about, Adrian Peterson. He might be looking at week 15 or week 16. So if you're going to go deep in the playoffs, I'd stash him. I would. Now, if you look at your team and you're like, well, I'm just fighting to get in the playoffs, then I wouldn't. But if you look at your team and you're 9-2 and you know you're going to make the playoffs, stash and cash, baby, and pray. Stash, cash, and pray. Jeremy Langford actually scored a touchdown last week. I don't know. I don't expect that, but whatever. What can I tell you? Mike Gillislee, if he was dropped, if Marshawn McCoy's thumb is not 100%, Mike Gillislee is a guy that you could absolutely look at this week. All right, what about Alex Collins? CJ Prosise, done. Thomas Rawls needs a backup. I think it's Alex Collins. I think Alex Collins is very interesting, and I'm just saying in a league, here you go on that one. I don't know how much I'd put on him, maybe a couple of bucks, but with Prosise gone and Rawls not the pillar of health, could I see an Alex Collins snap or two? Maybe. And what if Rawls got hurt? They'd be all in on this guy. I don't know if it's Troy Maine Pope. I don't know. So there I am with that one. Kristen Michael, if he was dropped in your league, I think he's going to play. I do. I think he's going to play. And I know they trust Starks. But I think they're going to see what Michael can do. Michael's got juice. He's got burst, and Starks doesn't. Okay? So let's talk about guys that we'll call stash and cash, right? Alfred Morris, if he's out there. Derrick Henry. Cameron Artis-Payne. Robert Turbin. These are just names of guys who maybe as you're heading into the playoffs, let's say you don't own Frank Gore. And I get it. You don't own Frank Gore. But Robert Turbin's out there. What if it's week 14 and Frank Gore pulls a hamstring? You now have Robert Turbin. It could be the difference between you winning and losing the main event. Between winning and losing a lot of money. So I'm just saying I may be stashing some of these guys. Now, I'm not going to cut anybody good, but I may stash a couple if I have the spot. And let me give you one more guy, Rex Burkhead. No Giovanni Bernard, no AJ Green. Maybe you'll see a little Rex Burkhead. What can I tell you? All right, at wide receiver, Sammy Watkins. They're hoping he's going to play. I don't know. I'm going to think not week 12, but more like week 13. We'll have to see about that one. I love Tyler Boyd. You got to be in on Tyler Boyd. And I got to be in on Brandon LaFell. I mean, at this point, you got to be on Tyler Eifert. There's no choices there in Cincinnati. So those are the three guys. So if they're available, would I pay the max? No, but I pay a good amount. Remember, there's one more week. So don't spend everything this week. You may have to spend something next week. There's always injuries. We saw a ton this week. You might see a ton next week. But Boyd and LaFell, I'm in on. Okay? What about Eli Rogers if he's there? I absolutely like him if he's available in your league. How about Tajai Sharp? I know he's been dropped in leagues. I know I dropped him at one point, but maybe he's out there. How about Lucky Pierre Garçon? Maybe he's out there. He would be interesting. Right? I'm just giving you players who I think might be of interest to you. Let's see. Cameron Meredith, if he's available. Cameron Meredith, who they lost Zach Miller. They lost Zach Miller, and they've lost Jeffrey. I know Marcus Wilson is going to be a big pickup, but Cameron Meredith, if he's out there, you got to roll with him. How about Ted Ginn? Ted Ginn's been a guy who's been very productive this year. Gets 6-7 targets a week. Nothing wrong with that. I'm out on Percy Harvin. That guy looks confused. It wasn't like he was a rocket scientist to begin with, but he looks very confused out there. Very. Let me just see. Dorial Green-Beckham. I mean, Nelson Aguilar is just hot garbage. Really, when you look up hot garbage in the dictionary, there's a picture of Nelson Aguilar. But I think Beckham is a legit guy here. Now, he may lose his job in the offseason. He may lose his job to Michael Floyd in the offseason. But right now, I think Dorial Green-Beckham is a guy who's interesting. All right, other names. Seth Roberts, Adam Humphries. I'm just giving you names of random guys here. Cordero Patterson. Devin Funchess, a guy who I didn't like, but he's starting to play better. Cecil Shorts, Russell Shepard actually emerged. So, and then guys that you haven't seen much of. Pharaoh Cooper, Leonte Carew. These are guys who may start getting opportunities when the Rams are done, which will be any minute now. Pharaoh Cooper's going to get a shot. Jeff Fisher's going to want to see what he has with him. So I don't know if I love him, but I'd put him on my short list. I would. I'd put him on my short list to see, what they possibly can do. All right, at tight end, man, Jared Cook finally looked good. Jared Cook finally looked good there. So that's something that was, we've been waiting for him. We've absolutely been waiting for him to be good. So he looked really good against the Redskins. Do I trust Jared Cook? No. But he's on the Packers. I really hate Richard Rodgers. He had 100 receptions. We've been talking about Jared Cook for weeks now, for years now. Jared Cook. Maybe this is his chance. Maybe it is. How about Vance McDonald? I got to say this. He's had a bunch of targets in his last few games, and Colin Kaepernick's been finding him. So if you're desperate for a tight end, I think you could do worse than Vance McDonald. How about Fedorowicz, if he's there? I like him a lot. I think he's interesting. I think this week, Austin Hooper's interesting. Let me explain why. Julio Jones-Roto is going to see Patrick Peterson. So that's going to leave Sanu, Taylor Gabriel, and possibly Austin Hooper open. Right? How about Hunter Henry? We've forgotten about Hunter Henry because of his injury. He's not bad. How about Will Tye? I mean, Eli Manning's talking up Will Tye. Hey, he's looked really good. I don't know if he's really good. I'm just saying. He's available. Lance Kendricks, he was pretty active with Goff first week. I was worried about that, but he did a good job. I was worried, admittedly so. So, Ladarius Green really disappointed us, but I think he will be more involved. I do. And interestingly enough, by the way, Vernon Davis on the field a lot. He's seeing snaps because he's a good blocker. Maybe he sneaks a touchdown. You're in a standard league, maybe he sneaks a touchdown. All right? So, also talking about kickers and defense, we've discussed this before. Try to just stash guys if you need them, if you want options. So you're heading into your fantasy playoffs, you figure you're going to be there. So let's just say, for argument's sake, right, that you have Cairo Santos, okay? And I do have Cairo Santos in a couple teams. So here I am, it's week 12 in Denver. Then I've got Atlanta, Oakland, Tennessee, Denver. Well, I like him against Oakland. I like him against Tennessee. I may even like him in the Dome against Atlanta, but I'm not loving him week 16 against Denver. So what I might choose to do, is look for another kicker and I say to myself, oh, Roberto Aguayo is at New Orleans week 16. Maybe that's a guy to stash. I hate Roberto Aguayo. I'm just giving you an example. I do the same thing with defense. If I have the Chiefs defense, which I do in a couple of leagues, and I see them playing Denver twice, I'm not loving it. So I might stash another defense. Maybe I'll stash, the Steelers defense because they have the Ravens that week. So go through your teams, go through your matchups. If you don't do that this week, you should do that next week. It's just about depth. So I don't want you, now look, a defense is never going to get hurt. All right? They may have injured players, but you're never going to bench a defense because some got to get hurt. But a kicker could get hurt. What if Cairo Santos, God forbid, knock on something there, tears his ACL and you don't have a backup kicker? You know what you get? 0. You know what your chance of winning the main event is? 0. You know what your chance of winning the Outline Championship is? 0. I'm not good at math, but I'm good at that kind of math. 0 plus 0 equals, that's right, you guessed it, 0. So once again, and we touched upon this on our show the other night, when you're bidding, I want you to go in there and look at what other teams have. If you have $320 and the next highest team is $260, then bid $261 and keep some money for next week. Don't get crazy on me. Don't say, I got to have this guy, I'm bidding $300. Now, let's say you have $300, the next guy has $260, and the guy above you has $400. I still would bid $261. If the guy who has $400 is going to get him, he's going to bid $301. So you can't worry about the guys above you. You can always only worry about the guys below you in terms of dollar amounts, right? If the guy has more than me and he's going to spend $301, he's getting Wendell Smallwood, and there's nothing I can do about that. But I'm going to try to beat as many teams out with a bid that I can and hope that I get him. And then I'm hoping that the guy's got a lot of money. Maybe he's out of it. If he's out of it, maybe he doesn't bid. Even better for me, right? So I need you to be a smart bidder here. And remember, there's another week. Look how many injuries there were this week. There were a ton of injuries. A ton. A.J. Green, McCoy, Woods, Bernard. And there's tons on the defensive end. I mean, Andrew Luck. You can't account for these things. It's football. It happens. It's football and it happens. So we have to be prepared. And that's why the teams with the most depth win. That's why the teams... Look, you want good starters, but I want depth because with bye weeks and injuries, you got to be able to stand there at the end. Because this is a long season. Every team who's got A.J. Green right now has got a hole in their roster. They have a holy roster. But if you've got 2 or 3 more guys, you can cover it. I'll tell you this. I'm very proud of what I'm going to tell you next. In the DFS Crossover League that I'm doing with a lot of big players in the industry, Tommy G, Drew Dinkmeyer, Napsterman, some very tough guys, Jeff Mann, some very tough players in the industry. I had Keenan Allen Roto was my first round pick. He was out for the year week 1. I'm still 9-2 in that league because I had depth. So 14-team league, and I drafted wisely. And I've been making pickups. So yes, I lost my first round player in a 14-team league, and I'm still second overall. Will I win the league? I don't know. But being second at this point, I think that says a lot. I think it says a lot that I put myself in a chance to win this league even without my number 1 player in a PPR league. And man, if I had Keenan Allen Roto, I'd be killing it right now. But speaking of right now it's time to put away the insurance cards, put away the copay. The office is closed, my friends. All right, I want you guys to check out scoutfantasy.com. Enter the promo code ROTO, that's ROTO. You pay for 1 month, we'll get you 2 more for free. I want to see you in the premium member forums. Go into the forums, click advice. You have questions, you put it in there. I'll answer it. Adam Ronis will answer it. Sean Childs will answer it. We'll get back. Mark Deming will answer it. We are here to help you. Matt DeLima will answer it. All right, we've got guys in there. We've got high-stakes players who love the game of fantasy football, who want you to win your league. That's how we roll. And we want you as members of the Scout Army to be successful, read our articles, get the information, get the Scout scores for DFS, listen to our radio shows on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports, listen to our podcasts. I got a very nice compliment from a listener who basically listens to our show on Saturday mornings and our DFS roundtable. He goes, I've played your cash game lineups the last 2 weeks and I've won both weeks. I love it. It's Thanksgiving time and I'm thankful for you guys. So I wish you a great day. Be well. Take care.
Thanks for listening to the Scout Fantasy Show. There's never been a better time to join the Scout Army. Visit scoutfantasy.com. Use the promo ROTO for 2 months free. And don't forget, fantasy players, please thumbs up the podcast on the iHeart app. See you next time. Go Scouts!